Why? When was the last time you asked this question? I asked this just before I started watching this movie. Why? Why do I watch this film instead of doing something else when there are so many important things in the world? Why am I watching this movie instead of another? And why did they write a sentence instead of putting the name of the movie into a single easy-to-remember word like The Matrix? Everything, everywhere, all at once? Maybe it's because independent filmmakers made this film instead of a gigantic industry like Hollywood. Apart from this small difference, and it's more budget compared to similar multiverse movies, people compared his films to The Matrix in many ways. Instead, they were Chelsea's time. There are two people in the director's chairs who call themselves Daniels, since their first name is artists, saying cool fight scenes like they wanted to Matrix are perfect for keeping the attention of ordinary viewers behind all of this. There is something else, such as the invisible Matrix. Even things most of us can't imagine. Multiverse. This film takes place in multiple universes still. It's way different from Marvel's films like Spider-Man and Doctor Strange, which have become popular in recent years in the multiverse category of the Sci-Fi January. They've experimented with the most original forms of storytelling I've ever seen. It is very difficult to believe that 5 people whom we can almost call amateurs just watch YouTube videos and use After Effects to make their own extremely impressive visual effects. Maybe it's because of these amateur and independent spirits, or all these come from their attempt to make something truly new. Or is it because of the depressive feeling and hopelessness after the 2000s, especially the younger generations, falling into the black hole life? This film was embraced by a very large audience, and as a result, he created our hype. There are people out there who call it the best film not only of 2022, but of the 2000s. And even there are people who say the best film I have ever seen in my entire life. Have you heard enough? Good. But don't assume I completely agree with those just because I said so. I will just point out some unique and critical beauties that I have seen in this film. Let's start with the summary. This is the story of a Chinese family living in the United States. They make a living by running the laundry under their house, and in the opening scene of the film, we see a chaotic room where we can say, definitely everything is everywhere. The top of the table is full of checks on there are rings everywhere, which reminds me of bagels. There are bags of clothes tucked here on there in the background. And even in some of them, they are rolling nice. Why am I telling you these small details? Because that's why these movies about rolling eyes and being the person sitting at the table is our main character, Emily, played by me, Chilyo. She has problems just like all of us with her family, problems with her daughter and husband or father included, to who came to visit them from China and has never approved the decision she has made in her life. The laundry is not very profitable. Anyways, he's also being supervised by the tax office. Oh, this movie is also about taxes too. It would be more accurate to say about taxes and death. Just like Benjamin Franklin said, nothing is certain in this world except death and taxes. Anyway, the flow of ordinary life in the film is suddenly interrupted in the elevator of the tax office. Exactly right now. Her husband, Wayman, unexpectedly pulls an umbrella out of his belt back and holds it in front of the camera in the elevator Sea Bagels. They tell you her husband's body is taken over by a personality from another universe called the Alpha Purse. Later, we'll learn that some people from different universities are able to make the transition between universes called verse jumps. There are an infinite number of universes. The choice a person makes creates a new path in the timeline, and new multiverses are formed. In this case, it is similar to Marvel's multiverse, which they described in the Locker series. Advice warning to ear at a completely random thing that will not normally be done at the moment should be done to transfer your mind between universities, for example. Evelyn turns into an international movie star by studying Kung Fu in a universe where she refused her husband Wayne once a marriage proposal and decided to stay in China. Whoa, wait a minute. Isn't that Michelle Yeoh herself? The directors even used the real footage from her real movie premieres. So reality is just one of the fields of multiverses. Once you start jumping between them, you can use the skills you have gained in that reality. But what happens if we begin to see not just one, not to put all the realities in all universes at the same time? A person who experiences everything everywhere all at once. In the movie, this person is Evelyn's daughter, Joy. Joy, when you look stupid, it's an insane power. We always say that all unwise people have seen everything. This girl really has seen everything, everything. She has gone through everything, everything. But instead of turning her into a white person, that much experience and knowledge turned her into a complete pessimist. Don't look at him dressed in white, you know, white place like that. And she has felt worse around her. She loves the meaning of life. And so when she's suffering, she put everything in a bagel and created a kind of black hole there. Bagel. That's when we remember that there were these bagels in all of the movies. These are the rings that absorb undestroyed meaning in life from the very beginning to the end, absorbing your joy to live. Even in the workplace of this family at the center of our story, these rings are still there. The question of why comes to our minds again. Why am I doing this? Why am I dealing with these YouTube channels? Would there still be nothing in return? Why? Well, I think we're here. Why do I leave here? Get an IP on an international movie store? Of course I could, but when we ask the why question, we often think of better possibilities than right now. But no one imagined some sort of reality in which people's fingers evolved like sausages. At least no one except the directors of this film. Their possibilities are endless. Let's go even further. Why do you exist as a human being in this time, and in this world among 13.8 billion years of lifetime? Couldn't it be something else or somewhere else? For example, what if you were still in an alternate universe where life doesn't exist? In these moments when the film's fast-paced subtly cuts off into a completely silent and motionless sequence. These are parts that make it stand out among others in this place, where mother and daughter quietly argue as a stone, but with human consciousness. Here, the subject is people stupid. We are all small, stupid people. That's what makes us who we are. Throughout history, we have been sure that the Earth is at the center of the universe. We excel people just because they weren't thinking the same way as others, until we discovered that the Earth turns around the sun, of course, and it's just one out of billions of stars. We're struggling to understand that all this happens in only one of the many universes. Every new discovery is just a reminder. We're all small and stupid. Everything she saw everywhere she lived destroyed meaning while increasing knowledge. It turned Joy into a person who thinks that nothing has meaning and value, but she's just one of the millions of young people who feel that way. Technology made us somewhat multiverse travelers. We could make inverse jumps with the screens. When was laid out the screens in front of our eyes? We're watching someone's lives more beautiful than ours with a photo and seeing a world better than ours with a video. We experience everything everywhere all at once. These can have two results. Whatever we do, we can enjoy it. Pleasure, happiness, like the Chinese girls naming the movie Joy. But the Chinese equivalent of joy is completely different. Catastrophe. This is the second consequence of experiencing everything everywhere. All at once hyperactive individuals who can't focus on anything, who can't leave the moment humanoids, whose egos rise to the top because they think they see and know everything in their short life. But they misunderstood knowledge and wisdom. This brings people catastrophe, not happiness. It slowly turns into people who are in tragedy. Because we don't know the value of what we have, we feel like we are falling off the cliff. This is the paradox of the girl who sees and knows everything in the movie. Let's watch it build that big and stuff everything in the universe into it to banish herself from existence. It's interesting that the metaphor here is chosen as a bagel, but it's not just a random choice. There are theories of physics that claim that the shape of the entire universe could be like this. This bagel represents the pain of existence in infinite universes, infinite possibilities. While Jo is going through all of this, we can see the change in awareness that her mother is going through her eyes. Eyes are just like bagels around the holes inside, or when there is a gap in the black bagel created by the girl. However, the eyes we have seen here and there since the very beginning are the opposite black dots in a white circle. This symbol is the opposite of Joy's thoughts. Yes, we are all small and stupid people. We may be empty, but it's up to us to fill it. These tiny symbols give life to everything they touch throughout the film. They give a spirit to the backs of floats at the very beginning of the Washington Church. The sticks and even the stones become alive with these symbols. Instead of Agent Smith in The Matrix, the bagel represents the darkness in this film, and instead of Neo fighting with the mother of the family is battling with all these as the chosen one. However, my favorite character is a shy, introverted, and even a bit of a timid father, Wayman, because he represents humbleness and the struggle of his desperate daughter and his warrior wife. He's taking the middle. He diagnoses very well that people who forget why they're even fighting with each other in a post. Every new discovery, every new development is making us even more confused, at least to young people like Joy to hopelessness, parents like Evelyn to harshness. But then there are people like way more peaceful, people who prefer to look at things from a good side, choose to see the full side of the glass. It's not stupidity or naivety to the technology and the internet. We access more data much faster than ever before. We think that we see everywhere and know everything before we reach our 20s. But we don't know. I don't know, especially when we don't know what's going on. We are in a time when we don't know what's going on. It used to be in the past, and it will be so in the future. And at such times, everything everywhere all at once tries to remind us of very important questions. What is the meaning of life? Or does it have a meaning? And instead of giving its own clear answers to these questions, it responds with new questions. If nothing matters, why don't we create our own meaning with kindness, love, respect, and care? We started the video with this, so let's end it.